Have you ever noticed something strange? While you were doing badly, everyone was kind. People asked how you were. They were patient. They offered help. And then you got better. You started training. You got a better job. You stopped drinking. You started building something. And that is exactly when the attacks began. They came disguised, almost always. A joke. A remark out of the corner of the mouth. That, wow, look who thinks he's something now. The sudden coldness of people who used to hug you. And you stood there, confused, with that question spinning in your head. Why did they get weird right when things started going well for me? It wasn't a coincidence. And it wasn't your imagination. There's a name for it. A name Friedrich Nietzsche gave it. And once you learn it, you see it everywhere. In families, in workplaces, in internet comments, in yourself. The name is resentment. And it's worth knowing who's telling you this, because it changes the weight of the sentence. Nietzsche was not a comfortable winner explaining the losers from above. He was a sick man, nearly blind, whose books didn't sell. He was turned down by the woman he loved. He lost important friends. He watched people far smaller than himself being applauded while he wrote alone in rented rooms. In other words, he had every reason in the world to become a textbook resentful man. And that is precisely why he was able to map that poison better than anyone. He found it inside himself first. Today I'm going to give you 7 brutal truths about it. 7 hammer blows. After them, you'll see people in a way you can't unsee. But I'm warning you now, and pay attention to this warning, because it matters more in this video than in any other. If you came here looking for ammunition to despise other people, you're going to leave frustrated. Because in the 6th truth, I turn the mirror toward you. And what it shows isn't pretty. There's no lap here. There's a forge. Let's go. First truth. They don't attack you for your flaws. They attack you for your virtues. Look at the chronology, because it gives everything away. When you were failing, nobody attacked you. When you were overweight, unemployed, lost, aimless, people were understanding. Some of them even liked you that way, though they'd never admit it, not even to themselves. The attack only came when you rose. That should be impossible, if the world worked the way you were told. If people wanted your good, your progress should make them happy. But that isn't what happens. What happens is the opposite. Your progress wounds them. And it wounds for a simple, implacable reason. While you were doing badly, you were proof that life is hard, and that comforted anyone else doing badly. When you improve, you become something else. You become living proof that it was possible. And if it was possible for you, then the excuse that person has been carrying for 10 years stops working. You didn't offend them. You did something worse. You disproved the story they tell about their own life. The first truth, then, you are not attacked for the worst in you. You are attacked for the best. And that isn't paranoia. It's the price of rising in front of someone who chose not to. And look at how this shows up in real life, because you'll recognize at least one of these scenes. You stop drinking, and the group that used to drink with you starts calling you boring. You start training, and someone in your house says, laughing, that you're getting full of yourself. You get promoted, and the colleague of 10 years starts treating you with an icy formality that never existed before. You start studying at night, and you hear that you think you're better than everyone else. Notice that in none of those cases did you harm anyone. You didn't steal anything from anyone. You just stopped being on the same level. And to someone who decided that level was the ceiling of life, your leaving sounds like an accusation. Second truth. Resentment invents a morality in which weakness becomes virtue. Here is the most explosive idea Nietzsche ever had, and it's the heart of this video. He asked a question no one before had dared to ask. Where did our values come from? Not whether they're right or wrong, but where they came from. Who invented them and why? And the answer he found is disturbing. Nietzsche argues that there is a kind of morality born out of impotence. It works like this. Someone who cannot achieve a thing does not admit that he cannot. Instead, he declares that the thing is bad, and so his incapacity becomes merit. Pay attention because you'll recognize this instantly. The man with no money doesn't say, "I failed to build wealth." He says money is dirty, that rich people are rotten, that ambition is a disease. The one with no discipline for his body doesn't say, "I have no discipline." He says people who train are vain, shallow, obsessed. The one who's afraid to try doesn't say, "I'm afraid." He says the ones who try are arrogant, showing off, about to fall flat. Notice the magic trick. The person doesn't change their life, they change the ruler. And suddenly, without lifting a finger, they became the good one in the story, and you became the villain. Nietzsche called this an inversion of values, and it's the most common operation in the world. It happens every time someone would rather rewrite the scoreboard than play the game. The second truth, then. When someone condemns the very thing they can't have, they usually aren't making a moral judgment. They're applying a bandage. Third truth. The resentful man doesn't want to rise. He wants you to come down. And this is the difference that separates ordinary envy, which is human and everyone has, from real resentment. Envy says, "I wanted that." And sometimes it's even useful because it points to a road. You look at someone, feel that tightening, and the tightening tells you where you want to go. Resentment doesn't want what you have. It wants you not to have it. Look at the test. It's infallible. When you tell someone about a win, watch the first reaction. The strong person asks how you did it. They want the map. The resentful one immediately hunts for the flaw. "Ah, but you got lucky. Ah, but it must have been easy for you. Ah, but how long is that going to last?" He didn't ask for the road. He asked for a discount on your achievement. And he wanted it immediately. And here's the saddest detail of that mechanism, because it's a tragedy before it's a villainy. The energy that person spends tearing you down is exactly the same energy they would need to rise. It's the same quantity of force. They just aimed it the wrong way. If they turned that force inward, toward their own life, they'd get wherever they wanted. But tearing down is less frightening than trying. Because when you tear someone down, you run no risk of failing. The third truth, then. Whoever pulls you down isn't trying to get above you. He's trying not to have to look up. If you've lived this, if you've ever shared an achievement and felt the room go cold, write 4 words in the comments. I dropped the poison. Fourth truth. The heaviest chain is the one you put on yourself, apologizing for existing. Here it gets serious, because now it isn't about them. It's about what you do afterward. After taking a few of those blows, almost everyone learns the wrong lesson. They learn to hide. You stop sharing good news. You shrink the achievement before someone else shrinks it for you. Ah, it wasn't a big deal. You stop talking about what you're building. You hide the book, hide the project, hide the gym, hide the plan. And when someone praises you, you change the subject fast, embarrassed, almost apologizing. You started shrinking. And look at what happened there. The herd won without having to fight. It didn't need to knock you down. It just made the social cost of rising so high that you lowered yourself, on your own, for free, to keep everyone comfortable. Nietzsche saw in this the final victory of herd morality. It doesn't need to chain you, it teaches you to chain yourself, and to call that humility. And I need to be clear here, because there's a difference that matters. Real humility is a virtue. It's knowing the size of what you still don't know. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about something else, about dimming yourself out of fear, about pretending to be smaller than you are so as not to disturb anyone. That isn't humility. It's cowardice with a pretty name. The fourth truth, then, they don't need to imprison you. They just need to teach you to apologize for having risen. And then you carry the chain yourself and thank them for the lesson. And the cost of that is bigger than it looks, because it doesn't stay in conversation. Whoever learns to shrink socially begins to shrink in decisions. He doesn't ask for the raise because it would seem arrogant. He doesn't send the message because it would seem presumptuous. He doesn't start the project because he can already hear the comment. He doesn't leave the city, doesn't change fields, doesn't try. Notice, by this point, nobody needs to sabotage you anymore. You internalize the audience. It now lives inside your head and votes on all your choices. And it always votes for the lowest risk, always for whatever disturbs no one. You became your own jailer, and the most efficient one that ever existed, because you're with yourself 24 hours a day. Fifth truth. Resentment is the only poison that kills only the one carrying it. Now let's look at the other side of this story, and what's there isn't a monster, it's a prisoner. Think about what a resentful person's life actually is, from the inside. He wakes up thinking about you. He checks what you posted. He talks about you with third parties. He assembles arguments in his head against you, in conversations that will never happen. He feels a sting when he hears your name being praised. In other words, you live inside his head, rent-free, occupying the best room. And he doesn't charge rent. He pays it. Nietzsche described the resentful man as someone who doesn't live his own life because he's too busy watching yours. It's an entirely reactive existence. He doesn't act, he responds. He doesn't build, he comments. He doesn't run the race, he times yours. And the price of that is the most expensive thing there is. The years. While he hates you, his clock runs exactly like yours. He is spending the only life he has being a spectator of yours. That's why resentment is the stupidest poison in the world. You drink it and wait for the other person to die. The fifth truth, then. Whoever hates you is already paying the most expensive bill there is. You don't need to do anything to him. He's already imprisoned, and the cell is himself. Sixth truth. And now I turn the mirror. You have resentment too, and it's aimed at someone right now. If you got this far feeling good, if you spent the whole video thinking about the resentful people you know, stop. Because this is the moment the video stops being about them. Run a test, and run it with brutal honesty, since no one is watching you. Think of someone you know who is doing well, someone your age, in your world, who got something you wanted. Now notice what happens inside you when good news about that person arrives. Is there a sting? A small discomfort, quickly followed by a thought that explains why it isn't really so impressive? He had help. She knows the right people. That won't last. If there was, pay attention. You just performed exactly the same operation the second truth described. You adjusted the ruler instead of adjusting your life. And this is where most videos on this subject lie to you. They sell you the idea that resentment is a disease of other people, of the weak, of those people over there. It's a lie. Resentment isn't a type of person. It's a movement any human soul makes when the effort looks too large and pride can't bear to admit it. Nietzsche didn't write about this to give you a category to file your enemies in. He wrote because he saw that mechanism operating inside himself and was horrified. The genealogy of morals is not a finger pointed outward. It's an autopsy performed while alive on one's own body. The sixth truth, then, if you used this video only to diagnose other people, you understood nothing. The question that matters isn't who resents me, it's who do I still need to fail so that I can feel better? Seventh truth, and now everything turns over. After 6 truths, the easy conclusion would be, so cut everyone off, despise the weak, climb over them, and show them. That's wrong. And not because it's ugly, because it's stupid. Notice what revenge demands of you. It demands that you keep measuring everything by them, that you make your choices thinking about the face they'll make, that you rise not to get somewhere, but so that someone sees it. Whoever lives to prove something to his enemies has handed them the steering wheel. You became reactive, which means you caught the disease you were criticizing. You only changed targets. Resentment isn't cured with more resentment. Nietzsche points to a completely different way out, and it's the hardest thing in this video. The answer isn't to strike back, it's to convert. All that energy you'd spend defending yourself, explaining yourself, proving, retaliating, keeping score on who's sabotaging you. Take all of it and throw it into your work, your building, your body, your craft, the thing you're bringing into being. Not as an answer to them, as if they didn't exist. Because real strength isn't reactive. It doesn't need an enemy in order to move. It overflows on its own. And then the strangest thing of all happens, which is the true sign that you left the prison. When you stop needing others to lose in order to feel large, you begin, with no effort at all, to be able to root for them, genuinely. And that isn't weak goodness. It isn't the morality Nietzsche criticized. It's the opposite. It's excess. It's the gesture of someone who has so much that he can give. The weak man needs others to fall. The strong man can wish them to rise, because their rising takes nothing from him. The seventh truth, then, the opposite of resentment isn't revenge, it's creation. And the day another person's victory stops hurting you is the day you know you became strong for real. And notice the economics of all this. The resentful man spends his energy on 3 things: watching, comparing, and explaining why the other doesn't deserve it. None of the 3 builds anything. The strong man spends his on 1, making. At the end of 10 years, one has a body of work, and the other has a file on people who barely remember him. Let's hold all 7, before the fire dies down. The first, you aren't attacked for your flaws. You're attacked for your virtues because they disprove other people's excuse. The second, resentment inverts the ruler. It turns one's own incapacity into virtue and your achievement into sin. The third, the resentful man doesn't want to rise. He wants you to come down. Tearing down is less frightening than trying. The fourth, the worst chain is the one you put on yourself when you start shrinking so as not to disturb. That isn't humility. The fifth, whoever hates you is already imprisoned. You live rent-free in his head, and he pays with his own life. The sixth, you have it too. Turn the mirror. Ask who you still need to fail. And the seventh, the answer isn't revenge, it's creation. And the sign that you won is when other people's victories stop hurting. Nietzsche didn't write this to turn you into a bitter, armored man full of enemies. He wrote it because he knew that poison up close. A sick man, ignored, without an audience, who had every reason in the world to become resentful, and who spent his life fighting not to. That's why he was able to describe the mechanism so precisely. He studied it from the inside. The question he leaves you isn't, how do I protect myself from resentful people? It's this: am I going to spend my life being somebody's enemy, or am I going to spend it building something? So this week, one task, short and uncomfortable. Choose a person whose success bothers you. You know who it is. You don't need to tell anyone, and it's better not to. And then perform the conversion. Take the time you would spend today thinking about that person, checking, comparing, chewing it over, and put that time, all of it, into your own work. Even 1 hour, without telling anyone, without posting, without proving anything. That's what Nietzsche calls turning poison into fuel. It isn't forgiving out of kindness. It's refusing to spend your life being moved by another person. And one serious thing, because this channel doesn't play with this. If you look inside and find not resentment, but a weight that won't lift, an emptiness that's lasted weeks, an anger that frightens you or that's genuinely harming you, that isn't philosophy and it isn't solved by a video. Talk to someone, a professional, or a person you trust. Asking for help is no weakness at all. It's the same courage this entire video is asking of you, just aimed at the right place. And which of the 7 burned you deepest? Not the prettiest one, the one that left you uncomfortable. And above all, did you think about someone during this video, or did you think about yourself? Answer that in the comments, honestly. Because the answer says more about where you are than anything else. If this video lit something, leave a like. That's how it finds someone who is, right now, shrinking so as not to disturb anyone. And subscribe, because here we don't seek comfort. We seek fire. And every week I come back with more. Become who you are, and let them keep counting your steps while you walk.